Hello there, good evening and welcome. From the National Assembly to the Presidency, issues bordering on inflation, economy, and the national security plus food security occupy the front burner in the outgoing week. From the nation's federal capital, I am Adegboyega Arogbodo, and this is Abuja Dispatch. Let's start off with those stories that made up our news headlines in the outgoing week.
After 12 years, the federal government has decided to implement the outcome of the Onrosai report released, which emphasized the reduction on the cost of governance by eliminating the duplication of functions by several departments and agencies. Consequently, the Federal Executive Council has announced the scrapping, subsuming, and relocation of some federal government ministries and departments. Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris and Special Advisor to the President on Policy Coordination Hadiza Bala Usman noted that though this exercise will drastically reduce the cost of governance, it will not in any way lead to the loss of jobs. The House of Representatives Joint Committees on Special Duties and Public Asset have directed all federal government agencies to suspend concession processes until its ongoing investigation is concluded. Chairman of the committee, Honorable Adimon Rikoye, gave the directive during the inaugural investigative hearing held at the National Assembly, as some agencies that appeared for the hearing claimed that they were not given letter of invitation to enable them prepare for an appearance. Earlier, while declaring open the investigative hearing, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, explained that the exercise will mark a crucial milestone in the history of the 10th House, adding that the objective is to meticulously dissect the triumphs, challenges, and overall impact of PPPs and concession agreements on public infrastructure and services. The federal government has launched the Expatriate Employment Levy, the EEL Handbook, aimed at revenue generation improvement, improved naturalization, and indigenization. Employment of more Nigerians by foreign companies operating in the country. This is also expected to balance employment opportunities between Nigerians and expatriates by closing the wage gap between the expatriate and the Nigerian labor force. While appreciating the tireless efforts of the Minister of Interior for rejigging passport issuance process and lessening the frustration of Nigerians home and abroad, President Tinubu expressed hope that the launch of the EEL Handbook is another game changer. The Nigerian Labour Congress had a one-day peaceful protest over economic hardship in the country during the week. At the National Assembly, where they submitted their demands to leadership of the Assembly, the President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Joe Ajero, alluded to the sufferings of the masses and demanded fair treatment of workers from the federal government. Ajero said the protest has been held to draw attention of government to the plight of workers whose standard of living is distorted due to the high rate of inflation in the country. The protesters demanded that government open all food storage silos and enforce equitable distribution of food and grains across the country.
Welcome back. In the recent times, the Naira has been performing woefully against the notable foreign currencies. On Split Views, which is our next segment, we take a look at the nation's fiscal and monetary policies and how sustainable these policies are. Welcome to the Split View segment of our program, Abuja Dispatch. And tonight we are featuring the Chairman, Independent Media and Policy Initiative, Mr. Niyi Akishiju. You're welcome to the program, sir.
Pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Now, we are looking at the financial and monetary sector in the country right now. Many people will keep on asking, how do we find ourselves where we are? What happened?
Well, it's not exactly complex, but historical. We were bound to be where we are because we run an economy that is not appropriately modeled. Perhaps since the 1960s, since independence, we set out to be a welfare state where government is responsible for providing so many things free of charge, more or less. Education, health, and such others. By the 1970s, we added petroleum to it, so much that most petroleum products, diesel, PMS, kerosene, and all that, were also subsidized. So and to manage, to run this kind of economy model, you need a lot of money. You know. Fortunately, when we added the subsidies, we went into the oil boom. So we had free money, to spend. In fact, at that time, the headache was how we want to spend, not how we want to generate. So, and while I support education, while I support health, because it talks to human development, but I am not exactly too enthused, with subsidy for PMS, subsidy for consumption. Because, well, when it was introduced, it was supposed to be an interim intervention. It was supposed to be for a period of time. But before we know it, it became part of our economic model. So much that we spend hand money, for consumption. So we divert what we were supposed to spend on capital, which would enhance our productivity and our production. We now spend it on consumption. So when you consume, you know the outcome. It is not productive. Yes, it sustains you. Consumption of any sort, it sustains you, but it does not produce. So it got to a stage where we're doing more than 10 billion, dollars to do that. And you can imagine how many roads, what capacity of power would have added, to our power generation and power distribution, how many bridges would have built and so on and so on. But that's the opportunity cost for what we are going through now.
Now, you just mentioned something very critical to the present realities, the issue of forest shortages and all that. Now, the question is, does it mean that the economic policies, the monetary policies of the present government is not able to tame this, uprising that we're having in the foreign forex?
That's why I started with modeling, economic modeling. It is what this government is trying to do is to now correct the error of our modeling. And in doing that, the market would adjust. So whereupon we are dependent so much on governments to do certain things. That's a fact. Certain things like subsidizing our fuel consumption, the cost of our fuel consumption, subsidizing access to forex, because what we have been buying a dollar over the years is not a true reflection of the dollar itself. So whoever bought a dollar some 2-3 years ago, or since so many years ago, once you peg a dollar, in a kind of economic like ours, it means that the state is subsidizing that dollar by a certain percentage. So what this government is doing, to my mind, is to say, look, let us free up this artificial limitation, or pegs that will give our dollar, that will even give our pricing of petroleum products. So as a result of removal of that peg, the dollar became open to forces of demand and supply, which is, the force of demand and supply takes you through a process that is called price discovery. That is the true price of that product. So that is what we are going through now. We have a huge volume of demand and low volume of supply. So it's either we start taming our demand or we increase our supply to have an equilibrium. It is at that equilibrium that will determine the true price of our forex. But that taming relates to what the CBN governor revealed some days ago, that we spend close to $40 billion on education and health, seeking education and health outside our shores. When we could have, we could have used those facilities that are in Nigeria and therefore saved up to $40 billion that have been taken out of this country. What had been demanded for manufacturing is about $16 billion, which I agree with. If we were taking $16 billion for raw materials and all that, is production. I wouldn't have had any issue with it. But education, health. If we are invested that money in our economy, on education, on health, it would have provided a lot of educated, what do you call it, institutions, with capacity to take on those who are going even abroad for this. So what it translates to is that we've been spending even this hard-earned money on soft items, not exactly hard, productive items that we can actually access in country. So you can just imagine how scandalized one will feel when you heard that this quantum of forex, have been taken out of this country.
Now, that's the question. Now, how can the domestic demands of the dollar be reduced? What are the measures?
So this is what we are saying. We need to tame our taste for foreign, either foreign exposure, foreign luxury goods, foreign services, and as the government is doing now, stop to the dollarization of the economy. It had gotten to a state where in some part of the country, you pay dollar for your services. You pay dollar to rent houses, you pay dollar for school fee, you pay dollar for health, to access health in Nigeria. Some government institutions require that you pay dollars for levies too, So I am happy that the government has outlawed this, because when you pay dollars for domestic needs and services, it means that you have to go and seek, for dollars, at the black market, because it's not likely you are able to access it in the official market. So when you have your own demand at the black market and they don't have the supply to offer you offer a higher price, and in offering a higher price, the value of your naira that you are offering me it declines, it devalues, it depreciates. So now that's why most of us will now say, dollar and naira are falling against the dollar, But the underlying truth is that we are asking more of dollar, and the more of dollar we ask for, the lesser the value of the naira that we realize.
Now, there are some results coming out from the forensic auditing of the Apex Bank, as revealed by the CBN governor. How devastating are some of these findings, in your own estimation?
Well, I am not given to conjectures. I'm a data-driven person. So when we get to hear some things, slip into the media space, I usually don't treat them with much seriousness until the government eventually do a white paper or do a review and come out with appropriate positions, on this. What those snippets we are reading in the newspapers or in the media are telling us is that there have been some form of infringements and the management, some form of breaches in the books and the management of the CBN. But for now, I still want to believe that it's still in the realm of speculations and conjectures. So when the government that had set up that that committee, that investigative panel, when it comes out with the position paper, people like us will now take it as the reality of the matter.
Now, Mr. President had lots of international travels recently, and one take home from some of those travels is the assurances of the international investors to come to Nigeria to invest. With the present economic climate, how sustainable could those assurances be? Are we sure that foreign investments are really tenable? I mean, are they really coming?
Foreign investment is actually a function of marketing. If people don't know what you are offering, nobody will know what you are doing because um, foreign capital is always looking for comfort area. And if you do not provide information on the comfort you have provided or you have facilitated in your own jurisdiction, and don't forget it's also competitive. As you are asking for this capital, more than 30 countries are asking for the same capital. So they need to be persuaded on where do they take their capital to. Now, because the foreign investor or investors anywhere is not a sentimental person, it's about hard figure and data. So by first traveling around to meet investors is to market what the government is doing. Two, we are also seeing within our domestic economy the policies that are being put in place to one, sanitize the environment. This is the removal of fuel subsidy is one of such. Harmonization of the forex windows is also one of such. Because when a foreign investor comes into the economy, he wants to be sure that he has access to exit that economy anytime he wants to. And the guarantee is that he can go to the market, to the forex market, and take his money and exit. So for him, when that kind of policy is in place, he feels confidence in the economy. Two, he also knows that he can project his expenses in our own jurisdiction. He knows at the point in time, this is the kind of exchange policy that is in place, and he can make his own projections. So these are some of the friendly policies, as it were. Foreign investment portfolio, for instance, is different from foreign direct investment. Portfolio people will look at what is the interest that can be earned either from treasury bills, from bonds and all that. How comparable are these interest rates, fixed income earnings or yield to other countries or other jurisdictions? And will now determine, okay, if, of course, relative again to inflation. So at the time, our inflation rate is high, till now it's high. Our interest rate was a bit, lesser, than our interest rate. The foreign investor believes that when your interest rate is lower than, especially your yield on fixed income investment, when your yield is lower, he will be losing if he comes in and buy fixed income assets. So that would be like a disincentive. But recently, we have seen how yield had gone up. That is, interest will be paid for whoever is buying that instrument. It has gone up. I think of late, treasury bills yield had gone up to 19%. Now that is an incentive for foreign investors. And when foreign investors come in, they usually come in with dollars, euro, pounds, convertible currency anyway. And that one adds to our foreign exchange reserve.
It's always a pleasure having you on our platform. The Chairman, Independent Media and Policy Initiative, Mr. Niyi Akishiju, has been our guest tonight. Thank you for your time, sir.
It's a pleasure always. Thanks so much for having me.
Welcome to the Street Talk segment on Abuja Dispatch. This week we'll take a look at inflation in Nigerian economy. Food is one of the most important basic needs for survival. In Nigeria, unfortunately, the prices of food items in the market has increased exponentially. Nigerians have to pay more money to get these foodstuffs into their homes as they can hardly afford it. I am Ayodele Ibrahim. Let's go to the streets and hear what Nigerians have to say.
The government should look into the dollar issue and insecurity. Yes, because the farmers no longer go to the farm. So if they can look into these two things, insecurity and dollar, I think the inflation and everything will be a little bit down. So if we are trying to dodge it, we'll continue to face this. I even said in 2015 that time is coming that Nigerians will find it difficult to buy things in the market because the farmers are crying to go to farm. None of them can go to farm.
Some of the prices, the increase is more than 100%. So I really don't know. It's God that will help us. We need the hand of God. Yeah, we need the hand of God. Humanly speaking, if not I'm positive, I could have said it's not going to be possible, but because there's nothing God cannot do. You know, no matter how situation is, the Bible says when you call him, or the word of God says when you call him, he will hear us. So definitely there will be a time God will answer us. He will definitely answer us. It's the only answer to our situation.
Yeah, the government can do a lot to bring down the price or the inflation rate in the country. First of all, you see, we depend on this crude oil. We have a lot of crude, but yet we are still importing them. None of our refineries are working. I think the government should try as much as possible to ensure that it gets the refinery up and running, or if the ones that are in existence are dilapidated, they should try as much as possible or quickly create new ones, because that is the only way they can bring down the price of the food, the price of foodstuff down.
People are hungry, suffering for food to eat because of what? The things hunger too much and fuel can't increase price. That is why people are selling goods for us. They increase their home goods also. If you say you buy something today 10 naira, like this red oil now, you buy it today now 30,000. Tomorrow you go there na 32, they go sell them for you. In even this rice, not even worse pass. This rice wey you dey see for here, if you buy am today, maybe you buy back 65,000. Tomorrow you go there na 70,000 you go dey here. We don tire for hungry. Me hungry no kill us for this country. Make government find solution for us so that make war no cause start because of hungry. Now they cause people to fight.
They should not move for the poor masses to eat. You see, everybody can afford 1,200 naira to feed. That is what we are facing in this country. And this thing I'm telling you is happening here in Wuse Market. Understand me? A lot of influence that is going on in the country is too alarming. Even the country that is fighting war, the country that is fighting Gaza, the problem they are facing there is better than what Nigerians are facing today. People die out of starvation. And the worst crime in the earth is dying out of starvation. I prefer bomb or gun to shoot me to death than to die out of starvation. Rapid elevation of the price. A lot of things influence the country. I didn't know whether we are working for people or are we working for the Nigerians. People in Gaza, where there's war, are even better than the people in Nigeria. Let's be honest. When you are moving when they observe that you are with up to 1 million naira, the next thing they will come and kidnap your family and remand it for ransom. Ransom, they didn't know how much you get the money, how much you are owing people. Nobody cares for that. And we say we have security.
I want to call our attention and our good government, please, should be consider us. We are all together. We cannot run for our country, Nigeria. Nigeria is where we know ourselves. Nigeria is not where we met ourselves. And we are always praying to be better than tomorrow, by God willing.
The Nigerian Bureau of Statistics states that the rise in food inflation on a year-to-year basis was caused by increase in the price of oil and fat, bread and cereals, potatoes, yam, and other food items. The palliative provided by the government did not even get to the common man. The conversation continues on all our social media platforms at Lagos Television and at LTV Socials. I am Ayodele Ibrahim.
Successive governments of the Federal Republic of Nigeria have sought ways to increase employment, domesticate technology, and as well increase revenue generation while creating wealth through PPP initiatives in MDAs. It's important to note that this project will, among others, as I said earlier, lead to technological domestication in our country. Also, huge revenue generation to government, especially at this particular point in time. Improved nationalization and indigenization level within the labor space. Employment of more Nigerians by both foreign and local companies operating in the country. The main essence is to be sure that if you are bringing an expatriate to work in Nigeria, it should be a job that no Nigerian has the skill to do. That's the major objective of this particular initiative.
Thank you for sharing your moments with us this night on Abuja Dispatch. A week from now, we bring you another refreshing episode. Same time, same station. Adegboyega Arobodo is my name. Have a good night.